There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome Yah. There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome Yah, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome Yah, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome Yah, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome Yah, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome Yah, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Yahuwah is the awesome Yah, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Awesome, yeah, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Awesome, yeah, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Tonight, I want to say a little guitar to every listener and to every viewer. I do want to say, please forgive us as we are starting late. We're having trouble with our internet and updating and all that good stuff, and it takes a little longer than expected. But once again, I want to say, stick with us, don't quit us. That's right. Pray with us and pray for us as we continue on this journey. A journey that I believe will prove to be the journey of truth as we continue to follow in the path of our Savior, as we continue to be available and listen attentively to His instructions for our lives. I want to say once again, we love you. We are praying with you and for you. Once again, please forgive us as our computers are updating, going through all those things, and Todah for Yahuwah allowing us to have phones and tablets that we can always use, but it is our desire to use the computer. But sometimes it's not always available. So once again, stick with us, don't quit us. Continue to love us as we continue to love you, and as we continue to push on in this our journey, a journey that has proven to be exciting, that has proven to be the truth, and has proven to be true all by itself. And so on tonight, as we are preparing to dive in, as it is customary here at Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom, a Brave Belief Ministries, a time of confession and a time that we read the scripture as our platform, and it is the foundation of our lives. As we will be coming from Yahusha, chapter 1, verse 7 and 8, the Son of Nun. We're going to read verse 7 and then we're going to recite verse 8 together. Only be strong and very courageous, to guard to do according to all the Torah which Moshe my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it right or left, so that you act wisely wherever you go. Verse 8, let us repeat this together. I will not let this book of the Torah depart from my mouth. But I shall meditate on it. Day and night. So that I guard to do. According to all that is written in it. For then I shall make my way prosperous. And act wisely. And look at your neighbor, tell your neighbor, you shall act wisely. And you shall act wisely. Look at your neighbor, other neighbor, tell your other neighbor, you shall act wisely, and you shall act wisely. Now take your hand and place your hand over your heart and say, Abba Yahuwah,
Abba Yahuwah,
I shall act wisely.
I shall act wisely.
One more time, I shall act wisely.
I shall act wisely.
And it is so. It is given unto us to act wisely. It is a command, not a request, that we act wisely. And with what he's given us, we have no excuse for not acting wisely.
That's right.
And so on tonight, we do appreciate him for what he's doing, what he's done, and what he's yet going to do in the lives of us, his chosen, and those of us that are awakened and following in his in the footsteps of Yahushua our HaMashiach. Once again, as we stand before you tonight in this our time of confession, I want you to repeat with me. Your great name be magnified and distinguished, and it is so.
And it is so.
In the world you created according to your will, may your sovereignty reign in our life and in our days and in the lifetime of all the house of Yasrael. Speedily and soon, and say, and it is so.
And it is so.
Worshipful is your great name forever and ever. May you be worshipped, and it is so.
And it is so.
May your Kaddish name be praised, extolled, exalted, and lifted up. Worshipful are you, and it is so.
And it is so.
Beyond all Baruching, song, praise, and consolation spoken in the world. And we shall declare, and it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Tehillim 78 and 38 reads, He is compassionate, gives atonement for iniquity, and destroys not. He frequently turns his anger away and does not stir up all his wrath. Tehillim 78 and 38, and it is so.
And it is so.
Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, the worshipful one. Repeat with me. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah.
Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah.
Forever worthy of worship.
Forever worthy of worship.
Forever worthy of worship.
Forever worthy of worship.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, our Savior, King of the universe, who by your word brings on the evenings, who causes light to pass before darkness, and darkness before light. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, who brings on the evenings, and it is so.
And it is so.
With an everlasting love you love us, your people, Yasrael, and you will never remove your love from us, for it is the adornment of our heads forever. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, who loves us, your people, Yasrael, and it is so.
And it is so.
Shema Yasrael, Yahuwah is our Savior, Yahuwah is one. Worshipful is Yahuwah, of his royal majesty forever and ever. You shall love Yahuwah, your Savior, our Savior, with all your heart and with all your life and with all your resources. These matters that I command you this day shall be on your heart. You shall review and repeat them to your sons, and shall speak about them when you sit in your house, and when you walk on the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. You shall bind them upon your arm as a symbol, and they shall be tefillin between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Devarim chapter 6, verses 4 through 9. And it shall be, if you earnestly hearken my commandment, which I command you today, to love Yahuwah your Savior, our Savior, and serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, then I will give you the rain for your land in this season, the early rain and the latter rain, that you may gather in your grain, your new wine, and your oil. And I will send grass in your fields for your livestock, that you may eat and be satiated. Guard yourselves, lest your heart be seduced, and you turn aside and serve gods and prostrate to them, lest Yahuwah's anger be aroused against you, and he shut up Shemayim, so that there be no rain, and the land yield no produce. And you perish quickly from the good land which Yahuwah is giving you. Therefore you shall place these words of mine upon your heart and in your life, and bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be tefillin between your eyes. You shall teach them to your children, speaking of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates, that your days and the days of your children may be multiplied in the land of which Abba Yahuwah swore unto your Abbas, our Abbas, to give them, like the days of Shemaiah above the earth. And it is so.
And it is so.
Devarim chapter 11, verses 13 through 21. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Yasrael. Tell them to make tassels on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a teklet, a blue thread, in the tassels of the corners. And you shall have the tassel, that you may look upon it and remember all my commandments, all the commandments of Yahuwah, and do them, and that you may not stray after your heart, and your eyes afterwards you go horrid, and that you may remember. Somebody say, remember.
Remember.
Say it again, remember.
Remember.
To do all my commandments and be Kadesh for Yahuwah. I am Yahuwah your Savior, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim to be your Savior. I am Yahuwah your Savior. The Midbar, chapter 15, verses 37 through 41. Truly and diligent you have established it. They saw your might manifested in the sea. Praised you, accepted your kingship, and said, Yahuwah shall reign everlasting. Yahuwah of hosts, our Redeemer, is your name. Kadesh ones of Yisrael, worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, Redeemer of Yisrael. Lay us down in shalom, O Yahuwah, our Savior, and cause us to arise with light and shalom, and spread over us the shelter of your shalom. May our eyes see, our hearts rejoice, and our souls exult in your deliverance at the same to Yisrael, our Savior reigns. For the dominion is yours, and forever shall you reign beautifully. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, who in your beauty reigns perpetual, self-existent and eternal, forever, and it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. And it is so. Your great name be magnified and distinguished, and it is so.
And it is so.
In the world you created according to your will, may your sovereignty reign in our life and in our days and in the lifetimes of all the house of Yisrael. Speedily and soon and say, and it is so.
And it is so.
Worshipful is your great name forever and ever. May you be worshipped, and it is so.
And it is so.
May your Kadesh name be praised, extolled, exalted, and lifted up. Worshipful are you, and it is so.
And it is so.
Beyond all Baruch, song, praise, and consolation spoken in the world. And we shall declare forevermore, and it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. Let us listen.
I lift my hands in total adoration unto you. You reign on the throne, for you are Yah and Yah alone. Because of you, my cloudy days are gone. I can sing to you this song. I just wanna say that I love you more than anything. I lift my hands in total adoration unto you. You reign on the throne, for you are Yah and Yah alone. Because of you, my cloudy days are gone. I can sing to you this song. I just wanna say that I love you more than anything. I lift my hands in total adoration unto you. You reign on the throne, for you are Yah and Yah alone. Because of you, my cloudy days are gone. I can sing to you this song. I just wanna say that I love you more than anything. And I love you, I love Yahusha. I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, yeah, I love you more than anything. wanna say that I love you more than anything. And I love you, Yahusha. I love you, Yahusha. I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, yeah, I love you more than anything. And I love you, Yahusha. I love you, Yahusha. I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, yeah, I love you more than anything. And I love you, Yahusha. I love you, Yahusha. I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, yeah, I love you more than anything. And I love you, Yahusha. I love you, Yahusha. I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, yeah, I love you more than anything. I lift my hands in total adoration unto you. You reign on the throne, for you are Yah and Yah alone. Because of you, my cloudy days are gone. I can sing to you this song. I just wanna say that I love you more than anything. I lift my hands in total adoration unto you. You reign on the throne, for you are Yah and Yah alone. Because of you, my cloudy days are gone. I can sing to you this song. I just wanna say that I love you more than anything. And I love you, Yahusha. I love you, Yahusha. I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, yeah, I love you more than anything. And I love you, Yahusha. I love you, Yahusha. I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, yeah, I love you more than anything. And I love you, Yahusha. I love you, Yahusha. I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, yeah, I love you more than anything. I lift my hands in total praise. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Love on him, praise. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. He's worthy, he's worthy. There's nothing wrong with loving on him with our praise. We can love on him. We can appreciate him for all that he's doing, all that he's done, and all that he's yet going to do. Tehillim 51:17 reads, O Yahuwah, open my lips, and my mouth shall declare your praise. And it is so.
And it is so.
You are eternally valiant, O Yahuwah. abundantly able to save. During drier season, you cause the dew to descend. During rainy season, you cause the wind to blow and the rain to descend. You sustain the living with devoted kindness. Revive the dead with abundant compassion. You heal the sick, release the bound, and you maintain diligence to those asleep in the dust. Who is like you, O Almighty? Who is comparable to you, causing death and restoring life? Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, who revives the dead.
It is so.
You are Kaddish, and your name is Kaddish, and Kaddish wants to praise you every day. Selah, worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, the Kaddish Savior, during the days of our O Kaddish King. You baruch man with knowledge and teach mortals comprehension. Give us knowledge, comprehension, and discernment. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, merciful, bestower of knowledge and discernment. Return us our Abba to your Torah. Bring us near to your service, and return us with total repentance before you. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, who desires repentance. Forgive us our Abba, for we have done wrong. Pardon us our King, for we have acted wicked. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, merciful and abounding in forgiveness. Look into our affliction, champion our fight, and hurry to redeem us. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, Redeemer of Yisrael. Heal us, O Yahuwah, and we shall be healed. Deliver us, and we shall be saved. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, healer of the sick of your people, Yisrael. During drier season, baruch this year, O Yahuwah, our Savior, with all types of produce and baruching, like the best of years. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, who baruchs the years. During rainy season, baruch this year, O Yahuwah, our Savior, with all types of produce, and give dew and drizzling rain on the face of the earth, and satiate the whole world with goodness, like the best of years. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, who baruchs the years. Sound a great shofar for our freedom, and raise a battle to gather us. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, gatherer of the dispersed of your people, Yisrael. Restore our judges as at first, and our advisors as in the beginning. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, our King, who loves uprightness and discernment and discretion, during the days of our, the King of judgment. For the apostate there be no hope. Uproot and ruin the dominion of high-handed sin, quickly in our days. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, who breaks the wicked and humbles high-handed sinners. May your compassions be upon the upright, the devout, and the upright proselyte, Yahuwah our Savior, and give good reward to all who trust in your name. May we not be ashamed. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, reliance and assurance of the upright. Dwell within Jerusalem, your city, as you spoke, and revealed her. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, who reveals Jerusalem. Cause the sprout of Dawood to sprout forth quickly, and by your deliverance lift his pride. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, who sprouts forth the pride of deliverance. Hear our voices, O Yahuwah, our Savior. Pity and have compassion on us. Receive our prayer with compassion, so that in your abundant compassion fulfill all our requests and requests of our heart. Worshipful are you, O Yahuwah, hear our prayers. Esteem us your people, O Yahuwah, our Savior, and our prayers and the prayers of our family, Yisrael. Restore service to the inner chamber of your temple, and accept our prayers and the prayers and the offerings of our family, Yisrael, with esteem. May our service and the service of our family, Yisrael, always find esteem. And may our eyes behold your compassion and return to Yisrael, that we find esteem as of old. Worshipful are you, O Lord, who restores your dwelling in the midst of your people, Yisrael. Let us bow to this place as we stand before our King. Repeat with me. We give you thanks that you are He who is.
We give you thanks that you are He who is.
Yahuwah our Savior.
Yahuwah our Savior.
Forever and ever.
Forever and ever.
For our lives committed into your hand.
For our lives committed into your hand.
Our souls entrusted to you.
Our souls entrusted to you.
And for your miracles and compassions.
And for your miracles and compassions.
That are at every moment.
That are at every moment.
Evening and morning.
Evening and morning.
For everything.
For everything.
Be worshipped and exalted.
Be worshipped and exalted.
For you are sovereign.
For you are sovereign.
And there is one beside you.
And there is one beside you.
Your Son.
Your Son.
Our Savior.
Our Savior.
Yahushua.
Yahushua.
Our Hamashiach.
Our Hamashiach.
Worshipful are you.
Worshipful are you.
O Yahuwah.
O Yahuwah.
Most benevolent.
Most benevolent.
Is your name.
Is your name.
And it is fitting.
And it is fitting.
To give you thanks.
To give you thanks.
And it is fitting.
And it is fitting.
To give you thanks.
To give you thanks.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Place shalom, goodness, and looking upon us, and mercy, loving kindness, and compassions, and look us all with the light of your countenance. For from the light of your countenance, O you who are Savior, you gave us Torah and life, love and kindness, uprightness and shalom. And it is good in your eyes to Baruch Asher people, Yasrael, in every moment. Worship for you, O Yahuwah, Baruch Asher people, Yasrael, with shalom, and it is so.
And it is so.
Let us bow in this place as we recite this together. May the utterance of my mouth,
May the utterance of my mouth,
and the deliberation of my heart,
and the deliberation of my heart,
be desirable before you,
be desirable before you,
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock,
my rock,
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
May the utterance of my mouth,
May the utterance of my mouth,
and the deliberation of my heart,
and the deliberation of my heart,
be desirable before you,
be desirable before you,
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock,
my rock,
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
And it is so.
And it is so.
We have just recited to him in 1915. Let us If it had not been for Yah on my side, tell me where would I be? Where would I be if it had not been for Yah on my side? Tell me where would I be?
Where would I be if it had not been for ya on my side? Tell me, where would I be? Where would I be if it had not been for ya on my side? Tell me, where would I be? Where would I be if it had not been for ya on my side? Tell me, where would I be? Where would I be?
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Your great name be magnified and distinguished, that it is so.
And it is so.
In the world you created according to your will, may your sovereignty reign in our life and in our days. And in the lifetimes of all the house of Yahweh, speak we and soon and say, and it is so.
And it is so.
Worshipful is your great name forever and ever. May you be worshipped, and it is so.
And it is so.
May your Kaddish name be praised, extolled, exalted, and lifted up. Worshipful are you, and it is so.
And it is so.
Beyond our brooding song, praise, and consolation spoken in the world, we shall declare forevermore. And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. Mission 15 and 8, the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination, hateful, and deceitful, offensive unto you, Abba Yahuwah. But the prayer of the upright is your delight. Mission 3 and 4, so shall you we find good understanding and high esteem of the sight of judgment of Yahuwah and man, and it is so.
And it is so.
Tehillim 1 and 1. Baruch is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the unrighteous, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the instructions of Abba Yahuwah, and he doth meditate on it. And it is so.
And it is so.
Ibram 11 and 6. But without belief it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to Yahuwah must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. It takes belief to be obedient, diligent, and disciplined.
And it is so.
Tehillim 34 and 15. The eyes of Yahuwah are upon the upright, and his ears are open unto our cry. Verse 17. The upright cry, and Yahuwah heareth and delivereth us out of all of our troubles. Someone said he's a strong deliverer.
He's a strong
Say it
deliverer.
again, he is a strong deliverer.
He's a strong deliverer.
He is a strong deliverer. Acts 1 and 8. When you shall receive power, after that the Ruach HaKodesh has come upon you, and you shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Shamar and unto the uttermost part of the earth. And it is so.
And it is so.
Ayah 33 and 4. The Ruach HaKodesh and Yahuwah have made me, and the breath of the Almighty hath given me life. Micah 4 and 8. But truly I am full of power by the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah, and of judgment, and of might, to declare unto Yaakov his transgressions, and to Yahweh his sin. So,
And it is so.
and it is so. Put your hands together. Yehukanan Aleph, chapter 5, verse 4 and 5. For whatsoever is born of Yahuwah overcometh the world, and this is the victory that overcometh the world, even our belief. Who is he that overcometh the world? But he that believeth that Yahushua is the Son of Yahuwah. Yehukanan Aleph, chapter 2, verses 5 and 6, 6 being the first verse. He who says he abide in him ought himself also to walk just as he walked. Verse 5, but whoever keeps his word through the love of Yahuwah is perfected in him. By this we know that we are in him, and it is so. Verse 17, and the world passes away and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of Yahuwah abideth forever. So let's say abideth forever.
Abideth forever.
Say it again, abideth forever.
Abideth forever.
Let us turn our attention to the book of Leviticus, which is Deuteronomy, and we're going to start from chapter 1, and we're going to look at verse 1. As you're turning there, our theme this week is words. Our theme this week is words. And it plays out a little longer in the scriptures in the book of Leviticus. The full thing would be many words were spoken. Many words were spoken. So this theme, we're going to be looking at the words that were spoken to the children of Yisrael. Once again, I want you to turn your attention to the book of Leviticus, which is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1. And while you're turning, I want to read you something about the book of Leviticus. In the final book of Torah, the Sefer Hadin, David, Moshe reviews the history and the laws given unto the Israel. The Greek name Deuteronomy comes from the phrase Mishnah HaTorah, Leviticus 17 and 18, which means the second telling of the instructions which we have come to know as the law. Obeying Yahuwah's instructions will bring baruchim, while spurning them will bring disaster. Idolatry is repeatedly denounced. So we know this week as the theme of this weekend in our Sabbath class is words. And the full theme is many words were spoken. So we're going to start at chapter 1, verse 1. We're going to let's read 6 verses apiece. And let's take it from there. Deuteronomy chapter 1 is also known as the Leviticus. Deuteronomy is the Greek name, Leviticus is the Hebrew name. I'll start off, I'll read verses out. Chapter 1. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to start from verse 1, and we're going to read all the way to verse 6. We got 40-something verses. All right, verse 1 says, These be the words which Moshe spoke unto all Yisrael on this side of Jordan in the desert, in the plain over against the sea of reeds between Paran and Tophel, and Laban and Hazarah and Dizahah. There are 11 days' journey from Horeb by the way of Mount Seir unto Kadesh Barnea. And it came to pass in the 40th year, in the 11th month, on the first day of the month, that Moshe spoke unto the children of Yisrael according to all that Yahuwah had given him in commandment unto them. Now let's look at what the 11th month is. It's the month of Shabbat, or Shevat, the biblical month of Shevat. That's the 40th year in the 11th month. Verse 4, After he had slain Sihon, the king of the Amorites, which dwelt in Heshbon, and Og, and the king of Bashan, who dwelt of Ashtoreth of Edrei, on this side of Jordan, in the land of Moab, began Moshe to declare this Torah. And we know Torah means what? Instructions. Verse 6 says, Yahuwah our power spoke unto us in Horeb, saying, You have dealt long enough in this mount. I'll read verse 7. Turn and set on your journey and go to the mount of the Amorites, and unto all the places near thereunto, in the plain, in the hills, and in the vale, and in the south, and by the seaside to the land of Canaanites, and unto Lebanon, unto the great river, the river Euphrates. Now, once again, it's many words being spoken, so we're going to hear a lot of things that's being spoken, because this is a time, and this is the last portion of the Torah. This book, the Leviticus, is the last portion of the Torah. Does that mean because this is the last book that now it's over? Absolutely not. Right. So it's important that we understand, but this is what it begins with, many words. So we're going to see a lot of things that Moshe is going to speak and he's going to say to the children of Yisrael, and it's going to be a lot of words. All right, let's read from verse 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, please, and 13.
Verse 8. Mm-hmm. Behold, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land which Yahuwah swore unto your of old, Abraham, Yasek, and Yaakov, to give unto them and to their seed after them. And I spoke to you all at that time, saying, I am not able to sustain you by myself. Yahuwah your power has multiplied you, and behold, you are this day as the stars of Shemayim for multitude.
Now, let's hold on. Verse 9 is Moshe speaking. This is Moshe. Now, Yahuwah is speaking in verse 8. He's speaking on behalf of Yahuwah. He said, Behold, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land which Yahuwah swore unto your Abbas, Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, to give unto them and to their seed after them. And to their seed after them. That means that it wasn't just for them, but it was for the seed after them, and then the seed, and then the seed, and then the seed. Okay? Now, look what he says in verse 9. And I spoke to you at that time, saying, I am not able to sustain you by myself. Verse 10 tells us that they multiplied according to the prophetic word that Yahuwah said that they would be. Did he not say that they would be like the stars of Shemayim?
Yes.
For multitude. All right, now, we're seeing Moshe basically testify and is a witness of the multiplication of the children of Yisrael. All right, let us look at, let's finish reading, please, 10, 11, and 12.
Verse 10, Yahuwah your power has multiplied, and behold, you are this day as the stars of Shemayim for multitude. Yahuwah power of your revolt make you 1,000 times so many more as you are, and Baruch you as he promised you. How can I myself alone bear your pressure, and your burden, and your strife? And it is so.
And it is so. Now, it says that we multiply this little number into 4 million people, including men, women, and children that came out of Mitzrayim. We arrive at a figure of 4 billion. Now, we do not know that Yahuwah's word, that Yahuwah's word is true. And many people in the world today may carry Ibram blood without knowing about it. And some of us do know. We know it's in us. We know it's in us on both sides. So it's important that we understand when he said that he will make him as the stars of Shemayim, he meant just that. All right, come on, let's read. Verse 6.
Verse 13 reads, Take you wise men and understanding, and known among your tribes, and I will make them rulers over you. And you answered me and said, The thing which you have spoken is good for us to do. So I took the chief of your tribes, wise men and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds, and captains over 50s, and captains over 10s, and officers among your tribes. And I charge your judges at that time, saying, Hear the causes between your brethren, and judge righteously between every man and his brother, and the foreigner that is with him. You shall not show partiality for persons in judgment, but you shall hear that small as well as the great. You shall not be intimidated by the face of the man, for the judgment belongs to power. And if it is too difficult a case, then bring it to me, and I will hear it. And I commanded you at that time all the things which you should do. And when we departed from Horeb, we went through all that exceedingly dangerous desert, which you saw by the way of the mountain of the Amorites, as Yahuwah your power commanded us. And we came to Kadesh Barnea. And I said unto you, You have come to Amorite Hill country, which Yahuwah your power will give to us. And it is so.
And it is so. Now, let us look up here. Now, once again, we're talking many words. Now, Yahuwah is reminding them through the voice of Moshe of all the things that they have come through. Because remember now, from the Exodus, from Bereshit to Shema, all those places we're looking at from the beginning all the way to the bitter, we are seeing words being spoken. In other words, it's a reminder of the things that were done and the things that were prophesied and the things that have come to pass. Now, look at what's so amazing about this. Now, he said, now I set up in other words, I set the order up. You agreed to the order. You accepted the order. He said, so I took the chief of your tribes, wise men, and known, and made them heads over you. captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds, and captains over 50s, and captains over tens, and officers among your tribes. In other words, everybody had somebody that they can look to for an answer. So nobody was left out. Nobody was without anybody to turn to for an answer. Okay? Then he says, and I charge your judges at that time, saying, hear the causes between your brethren, and judge righteously between every man and his brother and the foreigner that is with him. In other words, do not show partiality. You are supposed to judge these things right. Now, once again, verse 17 says, you shall not show partiality for persons in judgment, but you shall hear the small as well as the great. In other words, you are never to dismiss any type of situation that needs to be judged. Right. Now, we know today that a lot of times people choose things they want to put their hands on based upon the level of importance to them. Where Yahuwah dismisses that and said it doesn't matter how large or how small it is. If it comes before you, you have a responsibility to judge it, no matter how small or great it is. One of the things that I find lacking in Christianity, and I don't pounce on them, is that this is one of the things that they do not practice. They pick and choose whichever one or whichever thing they want to engage in or whichever thing they want to judge. If it's something minute or small, what do? They pass it on out the door, or they dismiss it, or don't deal with it at all. But Yahuwah said it does not matter how small or how large it is. Your responsibility is to judge it. Now watch this. You have even Israel today that still even act in that manner. If it's too small for them, they will bypass it and look over it. That is not what he told us to do. He said every situation that comes to your door. Now watch this. Concerning the Israel, you are responsible. If you are holding this position, if you're head over anything, you are responsible for judging it, and you are supposed to judge it accordingly. Not just throw it out because it's too small or whatever. You're supposed to handle it. He said, but you shall hear the small as well as the great. You shall not be intimidated by the face of the man, for the judgment belongs to power. In other words, if people of notoriety, of money, or whatever stand before you, you still have the responsibility and the obligation to judge it accordingly. And not show partiality, which we know in our system today that's so jacked up that all it takes is for a good somebody to bring the right amount, and they are bribed, or they take this, or somebody that they like better than somebody else, then you already know who's lost the case. I've known people, if you got to them first, then you were right. And if the other person got to them last, you were automatically wrong. There was never let's sit and let's listen and let's reason. If you got to that individual first, then that individual took your side. And if the next person got to them last, that's just it. Your butt just up the creek. Why? Because that's the way things were done. Partiality was shown. He says, don't look at the face. In other words, it does not matter their position. It does not matter their status. It does not matter what they have. You remember your responsibility and obligation is to adhere to the instructions of Abba Yahuwah. That's right. All right. Now, he says, for the judgment belongs to power, and if it is too difficult a case, then bring it to me, and I will hear it. And he said, and I commanded you at that time all things which you should do. Remember, we're talking about many words. He's reminding them and calling them to remembrance of everything that he spoke to them, all the instructions that he gave to them, everything from the beginning to the end, whether they looked at it as being minute or being a grand time or whatever, he's bringing it to their attention again. He's calling to remembrance.
That's right.
With many words. All right. Verse 19. You read verse 19 too, right?
Yes.
All right. And when we departed from Horeb, we went through all that exceedingly dangerous desert, which you saw by the way of the mountain of the Amorites, as Yahuwah our power commanded us, and we came to Kadesh Barnea. And he said, and I said unto you, you have come into the Amorite hill country, which Yahuwah our power will give to us. In other words, he spoke, he said it's yours, no matter how big they may be, no matter how it may seem intimidating, the people that occupy, he said, I gave it to you and it's yours. It's yours to possess. Now, once again, he's calling them into remembrance. Verse 21 says, behold, Yahuwah our power has laid the land before you. Go up and possess it, as Yahuwah power of your Abbas has said unto you. Do not be afraid, neither be discouraged. Now remember, he's saying this to them because he's reminding them of everything that is going on. And then he's reminding them you have a charge. You have a charge. You can't be afraid of what he's telling you to do. He's saying take it. Now, one of the things that's so important for us to remember, and why we go through the Torah portions, is because it's to remind us what he has given unto us. I know that people believe that the church is going to be raptured up, and that's a lie. That's a lie. There is no such thing as a rapture. The thing of it is, you have to understand Yahuwah is going to grab his people and he's going to place us back where he took us from. And that's our land.
That's right.
That is our land. Because anywhere and everywhere in Scripture, not one time have we heard in these 22 verses anything about returning or being taken out of the earth and raptured up.
That's right.
It's about possessing and occupying what? Land that he promised us.
That's right.
All right. Let's finish reading 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26.
Verse 22, and it reads, And you came near unto me, every one of you, and said, We will send men before us, and they shall spy out the land, and bring us a report by which way we shall go in, and into what cities we shall come. And the saying pleased me well. And I took 12 men of you, one of a tribe. And they prepared and went up into the mountain, and came unto the valley of Eshcol, and searched it out. And they took of the fruit of the land in their hands, and brought it down unto us, and brought us word again, and said, It is a good land which Yahuwah our power will give us. Notwithstanding, you would not go up, but rebelled against the commandment of Yahuwah your power.
And it is so. Now, once again, he's reminding them. He said, now, and you came near unto me, every one of you, and said, we will send men before us. In other words, let us go spy out the land before we go talking about fighting the folk. Verse 23, and he said, and the saying pleased me well, and I took 12 men of you, one of each tribe. And they prepared and went up into the mountain and came into the valley of Eshcol and searched it out. Now, mind you, when they got there, they began to see the people, and it was known that the people that lived there were giants. When they came back with grapes the size of grapefruit, when they went and got clusters of grapes size of grapefruit, and they got real big fruit. Now, one of the things that's important for us to remember, just because a person is big does not mean that automatically fruit is supposed to grow to fit the size of the person.
Right.
It just means you eat more to accommodate or to nourish you. Now, you have to understand, the land was not being tended to. This is why the food began to grow so large. If you ever see the commercials or you ever see different things, especially squash. Now, one of the things when you go into the grocery store, especially when you see a lot of the local farmers, some of them, when they let those squash grow that big and grow that long, that's because they let it sit on the vine too long. Squash are not supposed to be that big because when they get that big, they lose their taste. They lose their flavor.
Right.
They're not to be that big. So once again, we have to look at what's being done. They were not taking care of the land. Food does not grow the size of the individual.
That's right.
That means chickens would have been the size of turkeys. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
That means cows would have been the size of buffaloes. You hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we have to understand the nature of it and how, when they went, they were supposed to go and possess the land, but also understand in the possessing of the land, they will be the caretakers of that land, to cultivate it and take care of it. Just like when we talk about our land, when we go on the land. Because the land lay fallow for so many years, we have roots, we have trees, some trees that are this big around, but the thing of it is they have roots that go way up and you think somebody was buried right behind it because of the roots. When you don't tend to a land and tend to its fruit or its vegetation, it will have a tendency to grow wild and get out of order.
That's right.
It doesn't mean that we have giants on the land. It just means that there was nobody there to cultivate it.
Right.
Once again, you see giants and big people today. But you have to understand, food does not grow to accommodate them. It grows according to its natural process.
Right.
It means they just have to eat more. Because if you start buying stuff and you're buying it because it's big, all the time big and good.
That's right.
Because you don't know what they're injecting it with. You don't know what they are putting in. Are we understand it?
Yes.
So it's important to understand. He said, now, The saying pleased me, you went and you got the stuff. And then when you brought it back, and you said it is a good land, which Yahuwah our power will give us, notwithstanding you will not go up, but rebelled against the commandment of Yahuwah your power. Because they began to look at the size of the enemy instead of looking at Yahuwah their power.
That's right.
And so we be as grasshoppers in their eyes. We can't do this. This is just too much. How can we go and subdue this land when these people are too big for us to even deal with? We look like grasshoppers. Now, anybody knows when you look at a grasshopper versus your size, that's really large. Because you have to understand, even the largest grasshopper is still smaller than you are.
That's right.
So when it's all said and done, when we look at these types of things, we begin to see, once again, how they minimized the power of Yahuwah and exalted the power of those that were their enemies. We can't do that because you make Yahuwah angry. And you have to understand what we say it makes him angry, because if he says to go and possess it and get it, that means he's already made the way clear for you to get it.
That's right.
And we can't look from our own eyes, and we can't begin to try to analyze it. We just got to do what he said do. And it is so. All right, verse 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32.
And you murmured in your tents and said, because Yahuwah hated us, he has brought us forth out of the land of Mitzrayim to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites, to destroy us.
Now, once again, look at what's going on. They took their eyes off of Yahuwah, and they began to focus on the enemy instead of focusing on the one who did what he did. Now, you have to understand, he brought them out, and because he brought them out of Mitzrayim, you start thinking, he brought them out with a strong hand. Not one time did they have to lift a finger to fight. All they had to do was cross the sea of reeds. Not one time did they have to do anything but go and get. Do you know they bankrupt Mitzrayim? They took the gold, the silver, even the people's clothing. They took all of that and they bankrupt Mitzrayim. Now, mind you, all they had to do was ask for it. And when they asked for it, they gave it to them. And they walked. They did not run. They walked away from that place, and they traveled as Yahuwah gave them to travel. Now, once again, they get upset because they say Yahuwah hated us, and he has brought us out of the land of Mitzrayim to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites and destroy us. One thing is important that we understand is relationship.
That's right.
Relationship. See, because you have to understand, when you have a relationship with him, one thing about relationship is that relationship takes the pressure off of your life. And you don't start looking at what you're able to do, but you look at what you're able to accomplish because he's the one that's behind it. In other words, he's the one that's financing this deal.
That's right.
So you don't have to worry about going in and your strength and in your power. The only thing he asks for us to bring to the table is our belief in him and our continual dedication and commitment to what he has said and to what he has called us to do and to be. That's what he's called us to do. Now, once again, it's about relationship. When you understand the relationship and that you know that his relationship with you is one of those things that he loves you more than life itself, and that he would never put his people in harm's way.
That's right.
He would never put us in harm's way, because you got to understand, when you see us harm's way, Yahuwah looks at it, it's already done. This is why we got to see things from a different perspective. We got to truly see from his part and see that he would never do anything or cause anything to happen to us. He's our Abba. He wouldn't dare do that. All right, come on, let's read.
Verse 28. Where are we going up? Our brothers have made our heart to melt, saying, the people are greater and taller than we. The cities are great and fortified up to the sky. And moreover, we have seen the sons of the Anakim there. Verse 29. Then I said to you, don't dread, neither be afraid of them. Yahuwah, your power, who goes before you, he will fight for you, according to all that he did for you in Mitzrayim before your eyes. And in the wilderness, where you have seen how that Yahuwah, your power, bore you, as a man does bear his son, in all the way that you went until you came to this place.
Once again, many words. He's speaking the words. He's showing them. He's reminding them of all that Yahuwah had said. And then he's reminding them of their answers, and even the answers, even if it's not with their mouths, it's still with their actions. He said, what is going to happen to us is a question. Our brethren have discouraged our hearts, saying the people is greater and taller than we. This is why we cannot take the report of other people. We've got to follow the report of Yahuwah. If he said go possess it and go get it, then it's yours to go and get.
That's right.
And it is so. Now, once again, you have to understand when they went, the focus was not on them. Yahuwah had them going there, and I believe that's kind of that stealth mode. They were there, but they were like gray men. They were there, but nobody even acknowledged it. Because mind you now, if the people are tall and everybody is big, then they will be the littlest things in there.
Right.
That means that if Yahuwah had it to where they noticed them and acknowledged them and recognized them, then they would have been trying to rush them out of there and push them out of there because they would have been different.
Right.
But you have to understand, whenever Yahuwah tells you to do something or gives you something to do, he's going to always make sure you're covered. He's never going to put you in a place and have you exposed and have you in a position where you can be harmed. This is the lie of the enemy, and this is where we, once again, got to look at relationship.
Right.
We got to look at relationship, and we got to trust him. And no, he'll never put us in a situation that will cause us to be harmed. Now, understand now, you got to look once again through relationship. You can't look and say, oh my goodness, he didn't put me up against 10 people. No, you got to understand, he's using you in that position to show you how great he is.
Right.
It might be 10 people there, but you have to understand that 10 against you really is not against you, but it's against him, and you're just standing in a place as I don't say a marker, but you're standing in that place to get the victory.
Right.
So he's never going to give you something that he's not going to be the one, once again, that's going to bring you through it. We can never put all of our trust and strength in ourselves.
Right.
Now, you do have to have a level of confidence in yourself now.
Right.
Because a person that has no confidence in themselves will do just like they did. They had no confidence in themselves, and then they had no confidence in Yahuwah. So therefore, they were double defeated because they felt we look like grasshoppers. So that meant if you see yourself as a grasshopper, then how would you think you would see yourself in the eyes of Yahuwah? Because you would see that same thing. So they had no confidence in themselves, even though Yahuwah never gave them a reason to doubt him.
Right.
They still had that in them. All right, now, verse 29 says, Then I said, responded to you, do not be terrified, neither be afraid of them. He said, don't be afraid. In other words, remember your history with Yahuwah. Remember your history and don't allow what you're facing today to change your mind against your history and your relationship with him. That's what we have to do. We can't focus on all the stuff. Let me tell you something. If you start focusing on all the stuff that's going on in the world, it'll have you crazy.
Right.
Because some of the stuff that people put up there, in all honesty, some of that stuff is not valid. You got a little bit of stuff that's valid. Like I said on 2 weeks ago, when you have people putting up, and yes, the law is being passed, but the law is being passed like up in Virginia, Washington, and Maryland, and places up north, where they can go into your house without a search warrant. The reason being is because the people that live, do I agree with it? Absolutely not. But if we're going to give facts or give truth, let's give it all. Don't put it out there and put people in a mass panic.
Right.
The reason why the government allowed this to pass is because you have a lot of people that live by the train or the trail system or the transit system. And so they want to go in and check to make sure ain't nobody over there living there that's having contraband, or they're over there doing stuff they don't have any business.
Right.
So they can go in and search because of where they live. Do I agree with it? Absolutely not, because your home is your castle and you have a right for privacy in your home. But at the same time, if you live there, then that's what you have to expect.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But do not post it up like it's for everybody, because it's not in South Carolina.
Right.
Does that mean it won't come here? It doesn't mean it will, and it doesn't mean it won't. But at the same time, do not put people in a mass panic by posting something and not putting parameters around it that says this is where it's taking place.
Right.
Because now everybody believes it's for everybody. Then you got people saying, somebody come in my door, I'm going to kill him. You know, so you got all this stuff that's going on. Once again, you have to be careful of what you hear and what you see, because the media will have you scared to death.
Right.
They'll have you not eating, they'll have you not drinking. They'll have you in a mass panic. They'll have you, like I saw in Maine, where they had Kermit the Frog sitting in the corner, and he said, because of all that that's been talked about food, he said, I'll just have quietness for lunch in the corner. He said, I'll just eat that for lunch because that's, because everybody's talking a lot of things. I'm a firm believer. Know where you buy your food from. Right. Know where you buy your food from. We understand that there are things that's GMO, contaminated, and all that stuff. But you're not going to make me believe that everything that Yahuwah created has been contaminated by man. Right. You're not going to make me believe that. I believe there's still some good food out there, some good chicken, some good steak. I believe it's still good veal, good lamb, all those things. Are you understanding me? I don't eat goat, but I believe all that is still good. You have to understand wherever you purchase from. You got to know where you're purchasing your meat from. Because once again, if you're not careful, then people that eat and have a vegan life will make you believe that if you eat meat that you're the devil and that you're going to die because the meat is so contaminated. But you got to understand, so are vegetables.
That's right.
People don't realize that a lot of the vegetables we eat are sliced. And the reason they're called genetically modified is because they take another fruit or vegetable of its kind. Just say you have an avocado, and they have a different type of avocado. They take it and they splice it together to get another avocado. So once again, when you look at understanding GMO, genetically modified or partially genetically modified, it means that they take another strand or another type of vegetable in that same family and they splice it together to make another vegetable.
That's right.
So once again, people that love carrots, especially orange carrots, you're eating a man-made vegetable. Because carrots are not orange, they're purple.
That's right.
They're purple. Once again, so when we go and we start scaring people and trying to tell people if you eat meat, it's all puzzle, they go and grab videos from way across the land and grab this stuff and say, oh, the meat is contaminated. If that's the case, now look at this. Now, I'm not saying that everybody that do, I'm not defending anybody, but I'm saying let's use wisdom. You know how many recalls on meat they have because they say, look, something is wrong with this? How many times have we had recalls on ground beef? How many times have we had recall on steaks? Because, see, when they find out there's something wrong, because you got to understand, you're messing with their food, too. And they don't eat no contaminated food. So when it's contaminated, the first thing they do is do a recall. Once again, if your preference is being a vegan, then that's your preference. But don't try to cause other people to walk in fear of eating meat because we go by the kosher law according to Vayikra chapter 11. So once again, we eat certain things, and then there are certain things we don't eat, and then we're mindful of where we got our food from. You don't go to, I wouldn't go to a store, and even some of the finer stores, you still have to know where they get their meat. And if you want to know if meat is real fatty, just look at the marbling in it. That white stuff is fat. Right. That's fat. So when you buy your steaks and when you buy your roast, you look at how much marble is in it. If it has too much, you have more marble than meat, then you know when you cook it down, if it's this size, it ain't going to be but this big when you finish. There's all the fat that's in it. But once again, it's knowing. We ask the people we go and buy meat from, how do you do your meat? How do you take care of your meat? Where do you get your meat from? What do you feed your beef? And most of your beef are honestly grass-fed. We don't eat grain-fed beef because you don't want that because they get too fatty and then you don't know what they're putting in the grain. But grass-fed beef is the best beef because it's the more natural. It's more expensive, but it's better.
That's right.
And that's what we do. So once again, you can eat healthy and you can eat in the right manner. It's just it takes more work. Right. It takes more work. But once again, we have to be careful of what people put out there because it'll cause you to get scared. And then next thing you know, you don't know what to eat because you're scared to eat. You're scared to put anything in your mouth. Right. Now next thing you know, you're sick because you haven't been eating because you are afraid to put something in your mouth. Right. It's knowing how to shop and it's knowing where to shop.
That's right.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
And then asking questions. Yeah, so how long that's been? That smells funny. Yo, what's wrong with that? That looks a little funny. And people that take stores that take care of their meat, just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's taken care of. You don't ever buy because it's expensive. You buy because you know where it comes from. And because you know who's handling it. Once again, we buy locally. Locally, you can, most of the time, you can guarantee they still go straight. Because they got to feed their own families. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
All right. Now, once again, what happened was they were afraid because of the report. We have to be careful of reports. Once again, I don't knock people that are vegan, but I do have scripture that proves that if you are a vegan, it is because of your lack of belief in Yahuwah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
It's because of your lack of belief. All right. Now, he said in verse 30, Yahuwah your power who goes before you, he shall fight for you, according to all that he did for you in Mitzrayim, before your eyes. In other words, it's a reminder once again, before your eyes, what your eyes saw, what you saw, what you beheld with your eyes, what was tangible to you. Remember that. Remember that. And we all know that Yahuwah has been on our sides, even when we didn't know. Even when we was way off and we were way off in the left field, he was still on our sides.
That's right.
When we were living that life, we thought we was living, the way we were supposed to. He was still right there, showing us, even when we rejected him, he was still right there. So it's a reminder, once again, many words are being spoken to remind them and to provoke them to be reminded of where he brought them from. All right?
Yes.
All right. Let's read 31, 33, 31. Okay. And in the desert where you had seen how Yahuwah your power bore you as a man will bear his son, and all the way that you went until you came into this place. He said he carried you. So once again, if he carried you there, he will carry you again. But the whole thing of it is, he carried you to that place. Now once he brought us to a place, now we got to understand it's time for us to stand up on our 2 feet and begin to know that if he brought us to that place and he carried us there, then why would he carry us there just to let us go and be defeated?
Right. That's right.
That doesn't make any sense. Once again, this is why we have to understand you can't believe everything that's put out there. Now, verse 32, yet in this thing you did not believe Yahuwah your power. He said, even in that, after he brought you through, carried you, supported you, loved you in spite of, loved you in your error, and you still don't believe. This has been a major issue, and it's still a major issue in the community. And a lot of people only believe enough to get by.
That's right.
You can't believe just enough to get by. You got to believe even when your mind tries to tell you differently. Because you don't believe from here, you believe from here.
That's
so
right.
even when the conditions don't add up and it don't add up and make sense, you still have to believe, no, I trust you when I can't trace you. I trust you even when my mind can't really comprehend what all it is you're doing.
Right. Yes, that's right.
I still trust you. This is where we've got to get because it's about relationship.
That's right.
You've got to get to that place because then you'll be able to trust him when you can't trace him. You'll be able to trust him when all the world's saying go crazy and panic. You'll be able to trust him when you have everybody having their own agenda and their own way, and it's not but one way.
Right.
You'll trust him. Because when it's all said and done, you remember what he's done. And it's so.
And it is so.
All right, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37.
Who went in the way before you to search you out a place, to pitch your tents, and fire by night, to show you by what way you should go, and in a cloud by day. And when Yahuwah heard this, he was angry, and took an oath, saying, surely there shall not one of these men of this evil generation see that good land, which I swore to give unto their abode, except Caleb, the son of Yefuneh. He shall see it, and to him will I give the land that he has set his foot upon, and to his children, because he has completely followed Yahuwah. Also Yahuwah was angry with me for your sake, saying, you also shall not go in there.
And he did so. Now you got to remember, Caleb was from the tribe of Yehudah.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, he enters the land first. This is the sign of Yahudah, who would inherit the land and enter into it first. The order is important. Yehudah is mentioned first, showing us Yehudah will enter the land first, followed by Ephraim. Yahusha, the son of Nun, was from the tribe of Ephraim. Also, we know Jeroboam was from the tribe of Ephraim, who was the shepherd or the leader, the king of Yisrael. Are you understanding?
Yes.
So it's important that we see that once again. The things that Yahuwah is showing us. Once again, it's all about love. All right, now, once again, he said, and it was given to him and then given to his children. Verse 37, now look what he's reminding them. Once again, the things that made Yahuwah angry. Also, Yahuwah was angry with me for your sakes, saying, you shall not go in there. We know why he didn't go in, because he let the people get the best of him, and when he got out there and smoked the rock, when Yahuwah told him to basically tap it and speak to it. He went out there, trying to play Samurai Jack and hit it. And when he hit it too hard, he didn't show the esteem of Yahuwah, nor the authority or power, and he ended up getting himself in trouble. This is why you can never let people push you to a point where you become emotionally undone, to where you do something that causes you to go outside of the will of Yahuwah. And let me tell you something, if you follow up on people, they will make you do it. They will. I'm a firm believer, sometimes on those social media, you have to get off of that stuff.
That's right.
Because sometimes there be people on there, and it's like they were born and raised for the specific purpose of to get on folk nerve and to just pick in an area that just if you start thinking, what is it? Is it edifying? Is it edifying? If it is not edifying, then why do we continue? They ask the same thing and they put the same posts up there. You have 50 billion people doing it. I'm like, y'all know when you get on this stuff, you go and read the comments. People be so mad on that. You can see sometimes they can't even get their sentences right because they be so mad.
That's right.
You start thinking, why do you engage in this when you know all it's going to do is bring forth strife?
Right.
But because they know people know how to put certain things out there. They know how to put certain stuff out there to get people's attention, but also to get them emotionally undone. And this is where we have to use wisdom. This is where Yahushua, chapter 1, verse 8 comes in. Meditating upon the Torah. And when you meditate upon it day and night, you observe to do it. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
And when you do it, you will find yourself prospering and doing what? Acting wisely. Just because somebody acts stupid doesn't mean you got to join in the stupid game.
That's right.
When people do stuff, I let them do and say whatever they want. Why? Because I'm not going to come to your level. I'm not going to stoop to your level because I plan on being wise.
That's right.
Right, hear me. Now, sometimes you have to say what you have to say, but even then, you ain't got to be stupid with your mouth.
Right.
That's right.
You got to use wisdom even with your mouth. You don't want to bring a railing accusation against yourself. Say what you have to say, mean it, and be done with it. You ain't got to go backwards and forth, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs. Because now you engaging in something you shouldn't even waste your time with.
Right.
That's right.
State it, don't debate it, and keep on with it. And it is so.
And it is so.
Now, once again, he said, for your sake, he said he would not go in. Verse 38 tells us, but Yahushua, which is Joshua, the son of Nun, who stands before you, he shall go in there. Encourage him, for he shall cause Yisrael to inherit. Now, once again, remember, he was Moshe's predecessor. He was the one that would lead the children into the promised land. We're in the Bible, and we're seeing, this is almost like the last salutation and words of Moshe to the children of Yisrael. So he's preparing them because Yahushua, the son of Nun, which is Joshua, is getting ready to take over the army. He's getting ready to take over the children of Yisrael. And he's getting ready to lead them into the promised land. But once again, there has to be an establishment and there has to be a reminder. It's like when you're getting ready to go into something that you've been waiting for years, and now that you're about to reach that place and you're at the threshold, sometimes you have to be reminded of the things you did, the things you went through. So when you go into that new place, you'll know how to go in there, and you'll know how to thrive, and you'll know how to possess the land as he's given it to you. And that was what they were going to do at this point, being reminded. See, because if you go in with the mentality like you were from the places you came out of, you will not flourish. So he was reminding them, in other words, don't do nothing else stupid. Don't do anything else that's going to make Yahuwah angry with you, especially after he's already shown you what he's capable of doing. Can we understand?
Yes.
All right, let's read.
Verse 39. Moreover, your children which you said would die on the way, and your children which in that day had no knowledge between good and evil, they shall go in there, and to them will I give it, and they shall possess it.
Now, once again, the very thing that he's saying right here was one of the things that the children of Yisrael began to complain about. Our children are going to die in the wilderness, and they're going to die, and they're going to be without fathers, and they're going to do this. It is because it was at the time that Yahuwah told them to go in and possess the land. He said, they won't die, but you will. Now, this is what Yahuwah is saying to them. He said, because at that time they had no knowledge between good and evil. They shall go in there, and to them will I give it, and they shall possess it. In other words, what was intended for them to possess as a family, they lost off because of their rebellion. But their children still was able to go in and possess the land. All right, let's read.
Verse 40. But as for you, turn back and take your journey into the desert by the way of the Sea of Reeds. Then you answered and said unto me, We have sinned against Yahuwah. We will go up and fight according to all that Yahuwah our power commanded us. And when you had girded on every man his weapons of war, you were ready to go up into the hill. And Yahuwah said unto me, Say unto them, Do not go up, neither fight, for I am not with you, as you will be defeated. So I spoke unto you, and you would not hear, but rebelled against the commandment of Yahuwah, and you went up proudly into the hill. And the Amorites which dwelt in that mountain came out against you, and chased you, as bees do, and drove you back in Seir, even unto Hormah. And it is so.
And so, was in the front, they're trying to fight them. No, you want to be big and bad after you who told you not to. You said, go, you're going to go on your own. And they got the smoke. We've seen different documentaries when the bees get at you. You see what people be trying to get away from the bees, and there's just no getting away from them. You see where they swarm, and it's like it'd be so many on them at one time. You trying to fight them off you, but it'd be too many. That's just what happened to them. They swarmed them, and they beat them, and they pushed them so far back. You start thinking, if you would have listened, you wouldn't have had to go through that.
That's right.
But then they wanted to do, once again, they were rebellious people. If Yahuwah told them go, they wouldn't go. Then when he said, when he did say go, they wouldn't go. Then when he said go, they wouldn't go. And then when he said don't go, now they won't go. He said, okay, go ahead on. People beat the smoke out of them. All right, come on. 45, 46, and then chapter 2, 1, 2, 3.
Verse 46 reads, So you stayed in Kadesh many days, according unto the days that you stayed there. Chapter 2.
Did you read 45?
Jump in verse 45.
You did.
Then verse 44.
No, read 45.
And you returned and went before Yahuwah, but Yahuwah would not listen to your voice, nor give any attention to you. So you stayed in Kadesh many days, according unto the days that you stayed there. Chapter 2. One, two, three. Verse 1. Then we turned and set out for our journey into the desert by the way of the Sea of Reeds, as Yahuwah instructed me. And we went out around Mount Seir many days. And Yahuwah spoke unto me, saying, You have gone around this mountain long enough, now turn northward. And it was
so. They would listen. So he told me, you're going to pass this mountain in 40 years. What would only have taken them a week, it took them 40 years. 40 years because they would listen. And Yahuwah says you could pass it long enough, that over there. That's bad. Now, so you have to understand, they could not leave that schedule or leave that path or that mindset because Yahuwah had them locked in it. Because I'm sure if they could have, you'd have many people trying to break and trying to leave, but they couldn't because they didn't know how to. So once again, and then look what they did. They wept and Yahuwah would not hear them. In other words, he let them soak in the situation they were in because of their disobedience. Then he said unto them, in verse 2, and Yahuwah spoke unto me, saying, in verse 3, You have gone around this mountain long enough, now turn northward. It was when he was ready for them to break that cycle and for them to move on, that's when he told them to move on. It's important that we never fall in the hands of the neighbors.
Right. That's right.
All right, come on, let's read. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And command the people, saying, You are to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir, and they shall be afraid of you. Take good heed unto yourselves, therefore. Meddle not with them, for I will not give you any of their land. No, not so much as a footprint, because I have given Mount Seir unto Esau for possession. You shall buy food from them for money, that you may eat, and you shall also buy mayhem of them for money, that you may drink. For Yahuwah your power has baruched you in all the works of your hand. He knows you're walking through this great desert. These 40 years, Yahuwah your power has been with you. You have lacked nothing. And when we passed by from our brethren the children of Esau, which dwelt in Seir, through the way of the plain from Elah and from Etzion Gaber, we turned and passed by the way of the desert of Moab.
And it is so. Once again, Many words. He's reminding them of all these things. He said, you lack nothing. He said, 40 years you walked in and your shoes didn't get ragged. You know, your clothes didn't get ragged. You ate, you lived. You didn't die. You know, the ones that weren't supposed to, but everybody else was supposed to die, they died out in the wilderness. All right, now, verse 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
And Yahuwah said unto me, do not harass the Moabites, neither provoke them to war, for I will not give you of their land for a possession, because I have given Ar unto the land of Lot for a possession. The Emims dwelt therein in times past, a people great and many, and tall as the Anakims. Verse 11. Which also were accounted giants as the Anakims, but the Moabites called them Emites. The Horims also dwelt in Seir before time, but the children of Esau succeeded them, but they had destroyed them from before them, and dwelt in their stead, as Yasrael did unto the land of his possession, which Yahuwah gave unto them.
Now, when we look at verse 10, and Mims dwelt therein in times past, a people great and many, and tall as the Anakims. Now, these were the Rephites. They are a people who were very tall, like giants. Og was also from the same race. So these were tall people. They were just extremely tall. All right, let's read. Verse 12. Did you read 13?
Verse 13. Now rise up, said I, and get you over the Wadi Zered. And we went over the Wadi Zered. And the space in which we came from Kadesh Barnea until we came over the Wadi Zered was 38 years, until all the generation of the men of war were wasted out from among the host, as Yahuwah sware unto them. For indeed the hand of Yahuwah was against them, to destroy them from among the host until they were consumed. So it came to pass, when all the men of war were consumed and dead from among the people, that Yahuwah spoke unto me, saying, Today you are going to cross the border of Moab, that is Ar. And it is so.
And it is so. 38 years. 38 years. And it says, until we will come over the Wadi Zered, was 38 years, until all the generation of the men of war were wasted off among the host, as Yahuwah swear unto them. They died. Every last one of those men of war died. And watch this, they died foolishly. Not in battle, just by compassing a mountain for 40 years. They died walking a mountain, around a mountain, 40 years. All of that ability and skill died with them because of their hard-headedness and their rebellion. They died. That's what you call plain stupid, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Because they died, not fighting giants, not fighting what they were trained to do. They died compassing a mountain for 40 years because they were hard-headed. Mm-hmm. They died because they didn't listen. Oh, my. Now, verse 16, did he not say, he said, yes. So it came to pass, when all the men of war were consumed in death from among the people, that Yahuwah spoke unto me, saying, Today you ought to cross the border of Moab, that is Ar. A Moabite city on the Arnon River due east of the Dead Sea. So that's where they were supposed to cross for all that time. Can you imagine people sitting there and pass them out for 4 years? Because mind you now, it ain't like Yahuwah kept them a secret. People see them. People knew about them. and they will come passing that mountain before the years. All right, let's read.
And when you come nigh over against the children of Ammon, do not contend with them, nor meddle with them. For I will not give you the land of the children of Ammon any possession, because I have given it unto the children of Lot for possession. That also was accounted a land of giants. Giants dwelt therein in old time, and the Ammonites called them Zamzamites. A people great, many and tall, and the Anakims. But Yahuwah destroyed them before them, and they succeeded and dwelt in their stead. As he did to the children of Esau, which dwelt in Seir, when he destroyed the Horites from before them. And they succeeded them, and dwelt in their stead even unto this day. And the Avims, which dwelt in Hazor, even unto Alva, the Caphtorim, which came forth out of Caphtor, destroyed them, and dwelt in their stead. Get up, take your journey, and pass over the river Arnon. Behold, I have given into your hand Sihon, the Amorite king of Heshbon, and his land. Begin to possess it and engage him for war.
Now, once again, he's reminding them now, don't be rebellious and be stubborn. Go in and possess it. This is your time. This is what he's giving you to do. Once again, we got to remember the path and the characteristics of our forefathers and our ancestors. Right. One thing that is a key indicator about us as a people is that we are hard-headed and we are rebellious. Mm-hmm. We are a hard-headed, rebellious people, and that's the truth. And especially when it comes to the things of Yahuwah, we'll do everything but live for Him. You have to understand there's so much stuff out there when you start really researching and really looking, you find out that a lot of things that were put together or brought together was to keep us at a place of demise and to keep us at a place to where we would never be able to move forward.
That's right.
Because if you don't know who you are and you don't know who you are, don't know your purpose, then you will be in a position to where you'll be stagnant and you'll be going in circles because you really don't know who you are.
Right.
So understand there were certain things put in place to keep us from understanding and knowing who we are. But now that we know who we are, we know what we are supposed to do. One of the things that we are reminded of is let's not walk in the same path and the same footsteps of our ancestors and forefathers because we don't want to do that.
That's right.
He said, now get up, take your journey. In other words, as we have come to this portion of our lives, it's time for you to get up and do what you're supposed to do. All right, come on, 25, 26, 27,
25 reads, This day will I begin to put the dread of you and the fear of you upon the nations that are under the whole Shemayim. Who shall hear report of you and shall shiver and shake because of you?
Now remember, before this, people took them as a joke.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
People laughed at them. People looked at them and considered them almost as a byword. Why? Because you have to look at what had taken place. They compassed the mountain for 40 years. All of their men of valor died. She's thinking, if they all died, who will fight for them? Who was going to fight for them in the beginning? They would. Once again, you're looking at the different things that took place. And so now he's saying, now you're at a point, you're right, you're ready. It's time to rise up and fight. In other words, don't do as your ancestors. Now, mind you, a lot of these that were older, these were their papas that had died out. A lot of these young men that were rising up and getting ready to go into battle, a lot of them, it was their papas that died, and they basically walked up and stood in their stead. Mm-hmm. So once again, he said, now, remember, he said, and I'm going to make them shiver and shake because of you. That's something for Yahuwah to tell you that people are going to do because of you. Right. Because he's going to be the driving force behind this. Once again, you got to remember, whenever he says he's going to do a thing, all you got to do is show up and do what he said do. That's right. You don't have to come in a costume and come thinking you're going to make it more scary. Please, when he says he's going to make them shiver and shake, ain't nothing you got to do but show up.
That's right.
All right, come on.
Verse 26. And I sent messengers out of the desert of Kedemoth unto Sihon, king of Heshbon, with words of shalom, saying, Let me pass through your land, and I will go along by the highway, and I will neither turn into the right hand nor to the left. You shall sell me food for money, that I may eat, and give me meal for money, that I may drink. Only I will pass through on my feet.
Now, once again, look at verse 28. So it says that they were not what? Broke. You shall sell me food for money, that I may eat, and give me mayim for money, that I may drink. Only I will pass through on my feet. In other words, we're not asking you to give us anything. We can pay for what we're asking you for.
Right.
So once again, you have to understand, they were always equipped and they were always financially able to handle whatever situation that came their way.
That's right.
Once again, we can never forget that this is what he desires to do, to empower us economically. Number one thing, like I say, I love the saying of Dr. Umar Johnson, the Prince of Pan-Africanism. He said two things that we always, I love three things that we love, but the main three things I love that he says is one, that the mother of all violence is miseducation. The father of all violence is economical castration. And he said a man that is wealthy or powerful is powerful wherever he goes. In other words, man or woman. If you are powerful in your home, guess what? When you leave outside them doors, you are still powerful.
Right.
Whatever your state is. One of the things that has kept us as a people from really being able to move forward is economical castration. If you know what castration means, it means to cut off a vital part of your life. Not women, but men. Are you understanding? When you are castrated, you cannot be fruitful and you cannot be fruitful and multiply. You become a eunuch.
That's right.
And for a man, that is one of those situations you never want to find yourself in. Because you can never cause your name to be continued or to continue on. So what happens to us when we are looked upon as being economically castrated? In other words, if we don't have the money and we can't finance our own things, then guess what happens to us? We lose our ability to do what? Be productive. We lose our ability to be strong. We lose our ability to be an investor.
Right.
This is why we got to have money. Because if you don't have money, you can't invest.
Right.
And once again, if you can't invest, you can't produce.
Right.
You can't produce, you can't move forward. Because money answers all things that pertain to money.
Right.
All right, let's read.
Verse 29 reads, As the children of Esau which dwell in Seir, and the Moabites which dwell in Ar did unto me, until I shall pass over Jordan into the land which Yahuwah your power gives me.
All right. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34.
Verse 38 reads, But Sihon, king of Heshbon, would not let us pass by him, for Yahuwah your power hardened his ruach, and made his heart obstinate, that he might deliver him into your hand to this very day. And Yahuwah said unto me, Behold, I have begun to give Sihon and his land before you. Begin to possess, that you may inherit this land. Then Sihon came out against us, he and all his people, to fight at Yahah. And Yahuwah your power, our power, delivered him before us. And we struck him down with his son and all his people. And we took all the cities in all that time, and utterly destroyed the men and the women and the little ones of every city. We left none to remain. And did so.
So now once again, we have to understand, in war times, when it is called for battle, this is where you have to understand, if Yahuwah says don't leave a blade of grass, you don't leave a blade of grass. If he says kill everything, the circling child, that means everything.
Right.
And a lot of times what happens, once again, you have to understand what has changed and altered many things when you begin to look at war, is people look at the rules of engagement, which there are really no rules of engagement.
Right.
When it's time for war, what rules of engagement do you follow? You trying to kill me, I'm trying to kill you, and we got rules.
Right.
And then I try to follow the rules, but you break the rules. I say we don't throw any grenades, but you throw smoke bombs. I say, we won't do this, but you still do. You have to understand, when Yahuwah said go in and take the land, that meant that anybody and anything that would be left to try to come back and take it, kill it.
Right.
Now, once again, you have to understand with the mindset when we think about that, Christianity has done a great deal of destroying the premises or the true meaning of war.
Right.
Because the first thing, they say is, that's savage. You can't do that. Well, you're calling Yahuwah a savage then. Because Yahuwah said, do what? He said, kill everything and destroy it all, even the children.
Right.
That's right.
Leave nothing So once again, he has a purpose, and when he says do it, it's not up for us to question why it should be done. It is not up for us to get misty-eyed and start thinking, oh, they're babies. If he said destroy, that means that's exactly what he means.
That's right.
Because you have to understand something. One thing I've learned about war by reading is one thing about revenge is all it takes for one to stay alive.
That's right.
And hear the story, and next thing you know, they are going to come back for vengeance.
Right. That's right.
They're going to come back for vengeance. And so the way I believe personally, Yahuwah said we're going to nip that right in the bud because we're going to make sure everything's right. And then you have to understand, when he says that land is given to you, that nobody's to occupy but you, that means you're the only one to occupy it. Because guess what? If you save all the babies, then who's going to take care of them? You are. Right. Then so technically, you don't remove them from the land because when they grow up, it's theirs technically.
That's right.
Are you understanding?
Yes.
So once again, we can't afford to start trying to analyze and start trying to basically, well, if he said do it, do it, and don't question, just do it. Right. When he says do it. All right. Now he said, verse 34, he took all his cities at that time and utterly destroyed the men, the women, and the little ones of every city. We left none to remain. None remained. Nothing. Because this is what they were supposed to do. Now, let's read 35, 36, 37. And then verse 22 of the chapter.
Only the cattle we took for a plunder unto ourselves, and the spoil of the cities which we took from Aurora, which is by the brink of the river of Arnon, and from the city that is by the river, even unto Gilead. There was not one city too strong for us. Yahuwah our power delivered all unto us. 7. Only unto the land of the children of Ammon you came not, nor unto any place in the river Yabok, nor unto the cities in the mountains, or wherever Yahuwah our power had forbidden us. You shall not fear them, for Yahuwah your power, he shall fight for you.
He shall fight for you. He shall fight for us. This is important for us to understand that no matter what we face and no matter where we find ourselves, if we trust in him and believe in him, he will fight for us. One of the number one things that causes us to be disqualified is disobedience and rebellion. When Yahuwah tells us to do something, we are supposed to do it. One of the things we ought to learn from this is walking in complete and total obedience. Mm-hmm. If he says do it, do it. If he says not to do it, then do not do it. Because right. One of the things that quickly got them out of the mercy of the Lord was their disobedience. Right. Was their disobedience. Mm-hmm. It's important that you understand and follow the path and the pattern that once again our families and our ancestors walked in. The reason why we were dispersed and disseminated into many places is because of their rebellion. Right. It is why now to this day we got folk bickering and fussing over who we are and what we are. Mm-hmm. What are we? Are we this? Are we that? You have to understand, when Yahuwah said, according to the book of Vayikra, chapter 26, and even in portions of chapter 27, and even when we look in Devarim chapter 28, all of that, when he said unto us that if we did not abide by his instructions, that we would be cursed. Then he says that he would make it even worse. Now, let me tell you something. I know a lot of people say, well, we're in the land of our captivity. We're in the land of our enemy. Right. We're in the land of our enemy. You know why? Because a person that is captive has no free will. Right. But when you're in the land of your enemies, you have that freedom to a degree. But every time you turn around, you got somebody right there contending with you. That's your enemy. See, we can go outside and drive. We can go outside and walk up and down the street. So you have that freedom and that liberty. But when you're in the place of your enemy, right. They're there to sabotage, to stop, to hinder, and to halt your progress. Right. So we're in the land of our enemies. So this is why when you go to do certain things, especially when you're out of the will of Yahuwah, it becomes very difficult to do. It becomes very difficult to maintain. It becomes very difficult to move in Why? Because you have to understand it's your enemy. Everywhere you go, it's something that is there that's trying to, or someone, let me put it in that manner, that is trying to stop you and trying to forbid you from doing what it is that you desire and want to do. This is why it's important that we know who we are. Now, I'll say this, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We are not Africans, but we did come through Africa.
That's right.
We are immigrants. Now, once again, you have to understand Africa is known as the motherland, and that's not really the name of the land of the motherland. It is not Africa. Right. It's something like Al-Kadu or something of that nature. And because you have to understand, Africa is a Greek word.
That's right.
It's a Greek word. So once again, you have to understand it gets its name from a Roman general, Africanus. And so once again, that's not who we are. But we pass through there, which in turn changed our identity. Because once again, remember he said, I'll change your identity. And basically he would change who we are because of our ancestors and forefathers' disobedience and rebellion. And this is why now when we say we know who we are because we're tracing the steps back of our ancestors and forefathers. Mm-hmm. Because once again, even when you say, well, if you say you're an African, once again, that's not even who you are because Africa is really not the name of Africa.
That's right.
So once again, he's telling us, I cause these things to be what they are. And now that we're in this place of truth, and he is opening our eyes and he's awakening us out of the matrix, and he's giving us an opportunity to walk and follow in his truth, it's important that we understand what it is that he's calling us out and calling us into. Right. So once again, we're walking in that place with him because we know who we are. Mm-hmm. And it's not because, we walk in arrogance or we walk haughty, but we walk confidently in who we are and whose we are. Right. Because once again, you have to remember, for so long, we didn't know who we were.
That's right.
We just were told that we were slaves and we came off of slave ships from Africa, and now this is who we are. That's a lie. They totally destroyed and sabotaged our history.
Right. That's right.
And so now Yahuwah is giving us, watch this, the opportunity again to walk in obedience and know who we are. And that's what we're going to do.
That's right.
This is what we have to make a decision. Who do you love? I love you more than anything else in this world.
That's right.
And so it's important that we understand when you love him, you're going to live for him.
Right. That's right.
And you're going to do what he said you do. Once again, it's important that we understand in this hour. Once again, our theme for this Sabbath rest is words. Many words were spoken. And as we've seen from chapter 1 of the Bible all the way to chapter 3, many words were spoken concerning the children of Yasharal. And look what happened. They got in there and they kicked butt and took names. And Yahuwah baruched them and he esteemed them because they walked in that position and in that place that their Abbas would not do. Once again, let it not be said of us that we heard, saw, experienced, handled, and tasted the goodness of Yahuwah, and still will walk in rebellion and not do what he's called us to do because we still refuse to walk in complete and total obedience.
Right. That's right.
Once again, it's important that we understand he gave us nothing to lose but him.
That's right.
And now that we are awakened, it is important for us to know what we are to do and how we are to do it and how we are to do it according to his instructions for our lives. Once again, you got to understand, when we came out of Christianity, Christianity is a system that was created by Roman Catholicism. And the more I learned, the more I really see that it was and it still is diabolical, and it is an abomination in the eyes of Yahuwah. I know for a lot of people, oh, you blaspheme because you said it. No, I'm telling you the truth, because when you begin to seek the path and seek the order of Yahuwah, you will find out and you will see. It was Constantine that legalized it, but it was the Subians who created it. And everything that goes along with it. So once again, it's important that we understand these things were created to keep us, the chosen, away from who he is and to keep us away from our identity. Somebody will say, well, why would it be so, why would they go through that? Because you have to understand, when you know who you are, you become a terror in the eyes and in the hearts of those that are trying to keep you in a position of not knowing who you are. Right. Everybody on the face of the map, or on the face of the globe, knows where they come from, who they are, and what it is they want. We're the only ones that our history has been marred and corrupted.
That's right.
We're the only ones that Every other culture wants to mingle and mix with our blood. Because we're the only ones they run after. You got to understand there's some power in that melanin. As Jay was saying, massive melanin. It's power in it. And the enemy knows this, and anything he can do to dilute it and to change it, he will. That's right. When you know. But now that we know, the saying is when you know better, you what?
Do better.
You do better. So we know better, so we do better. So we follow the instructions that he's given to us. I want to say to you, and this our pre-Sabbath class, as we have prepared our palettes for Sabbath class on tomorrow at 11:45. I want to say if this is your first time tuning in, like, subscribe, leave your comments, share the video. Once again, Yahuwah willing, will be back in class at 11:45 tomorrow to pick up with our Haftarah portions and our Brit Hadashah portions. You don't want to miss, because many words were spoken from that time, even leading up into the Haftarah and into the Brit Hadashah. Many words were spoken, and many words are still being spoken concerning us, the people of Yisrael. Once again, I want to say unto you, be encouraged, keep your head up, keep your shoulders square, and keep your feet and your heart in and upon the Torah. Know this, that you can't go wrong when you follow his instructions and do all that he's called you to do. I want you to know that I am Prophetess Sabrina Brown, and I am the leader of Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom of Brave Belief Ministries located in South Carolina. Also, I am known as Laura 777. I want you to know, once again, we love you and we're praying with you. I want you to remember that this is the place where
the Torah does the body good.
Until next time, may Yahuwah Baruch Atah and keep you in his shalom until we meet again. I also want you to remember that you've been touched by Champion TV.
You did it so.